presentation or what? As I said, it's my first attempt to participate here.
Yeah.
And
we have a short. I mean, basically, we have a small agenda. This is actually an organizational meeting for the leadership forums, which are we're going to do those every 2 weeks. We're going to try to bring in some substantial speakers. I'm going to try to get Robert David Steele to make a presentation to the group, and because his objectives are very consistent with ours. Anybody that's researched open source understands its importance going forward, because it is the situation in the world is that the corporations love patents. They love intellectual property because it allows them to use money to control everything. They don't actually have to be involved, be responsible, know anything. They can just eliminate people's ability to use these technologies by owning them and then not using them. You know, so open source, which is intellectual property free technology, is the only way. PFC uses open source technology to run this website. We don't pay for software.
Right.
And the other thing about it is that it is freely transferable across national boundaries. If you have licensed software, you can't do that, because each country has a separate licensing agreement, and you can't move this stuff across. So we could build something great here using licensed technology, and then, you know, in another country, they would have to pay a lot of money. It could be outrageous. And so open source is a key to having a technologically advanced civilization on our planet. The people who have money have done everything they can to make the fact that they have money give them power and control. And open source is one of the key ways to, eliminate this barrier to prosperity. And I'm hopeful that he will respond to our overture to join us. He has a lot to contribute to a forum like this, especially if we can get our ducks lined up to get get all of the materials out and get them downloadable, and enable people to host their own programs using the same resources as we're creating here.
And that's exactly what we're going to cover today, Paul.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I'm part of this energy and effort, but from Canada, and I've just returned last night from Arkansas, participating at the Earthkeeper Vortex Gateway event there last weekend. So, and I've just come back from that energetic encounter of 600 souls. So this is part of what I want to be doing as well, and perhaps extend it through Canada as well.
Well, this is wonderful. Everything we do is meant to be shared and enlarged. I included on the newsletter a little illustration showing that by simply breaking down to smaller regions, down to the neighborhood size, we could actually theoretically reach as many as 100 million people. It's 98 million, but that's an odd number. But anyway, the idea is that you go down 8 levels of meetings that are about the same size as ours or smaller, can have a tremendous impact, especially if we're conveying the same or similar message. And I think this is a real possibility.
Yes.
We've got free technology. Zoom is free for 40 minutes. You can call back and do that repeatedly. But with the downloadable materials now, I've included in the newsletter the slideshow, but that will be available as a download as a PowerPoint slideshow and can be used online appropriately. And you know, with this approach, especially if we can get the right kind of speakers and presenters, because there are a lot of people. We don't have that many opportunities, slots, so to speak, for meetings, but there are a lot of powerful speakers, a lot of important people. I think that if we can, you know, establish this pattern of having a main meeting with and produce all the materials, and then enable people to, you know, carry that down into the smaller and smaller regions, down to the neighborhood level. I think it'll be great. So we'll have to, you know, we just go forward. And I know that, you know, what I presented in that thing is very optimistic, but it's not unreasonable. It's just, can we get that many people involved? But if we're sending out emails and all we're asking is the people who try to host these, make up an email list of probably 100 people and then expect about 15.
Right.
Hi, yes, from New York.
Dane, can you see my slides?
I can,
Dane?
well, it's breaking up, to be honest. I'm on internet, yes.
Okay, Claudia.
But I can
Dane,
hear
guys,
you, yes.
Can everyone see the
All right, thank
slideshow
you.
that I'm
So there's emotional things that'll affect everybody's life and that person's life.
Dane, can you see the screen that I'm sharing? Can everybody see that?
The victory of the light screen.
Of course, then there's those
Okay,
that
great.
are died and they don't have any friends.
Yes, now I see it. Housekeeping.
Awesome. So, I guess, should we get started, Dane? I'll go through these and
Well,
we'll go along.
More people will arrive, but you know, right now we have what, 25, and that should be enough for a quorum.
Okay. Yeah, we'll call for them now. So it's 9 a.m. Pacific, and good morning to everybody. Thank you, Dane, for bringing us all together and providing Zoom as a link for us to gather and be here on. Today is an organizational meeting, right, Dane? It's
right. This is a meeting that we need to have, and we're taking this opportunity. We originally were thinking to skip this weekend, but the people who are passionate about doing this, I think, would be eager to meet, and so here we are.
Okay, so I'm just gonna do some meeting reminders while I go over these slides. Please keep your microphone on mute. If you can mute everyone, Dane, real quick.
Okay.
Yep, that we can, unless we wish to speak. So this will be a dynamic meeting, but use the box to raise your questions. I'll monitor it quite frequently. So I see there's some chatter going on everywhere. So again, thank you for making this meeting, for the organizational meeting, everybody dynamic. Some meeting guidelines that we generally have for those of you who are new here. Please be nice, please be kind, and use only loving or uplifting language when speaking to others, and provide your feedback and discuss as you're guided. So I know that we have some new people here and first timers. I wanted to give in the same format. Am I breaking up, Dane?
A little bit. You're a little cracky. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me just.
But not. You know, you can still understand you.
Okay. Give other people some chance. To those of you who are new here for the first time, like Paul, we'll go about maybe 2 or 3 introductions of our new members here today. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Please tell us where you're from, where do you live currently? Are you affiliated with any groups?
Good morning,
other than the Cobra Etheric Liberation, which we hope you are, as well as the Prepare for Change on Facebook. Could be digital, could be organizational. What do you do for your career, your interests? And let's keep it under 2 minutes, please. So anybody would like to go first?
Well, Paul, would you like to speak? We know that
I can start. My name is Paul Susi. I live in Canada, Atlantic Canada, by the ocean. am retired. I've been looking into various groupings and so on across the world. I've chatted with Cobra and actually installed some Sintamani stones in Newfoundland, Canada last summer. I want to participate and prepare for change. I'm a member of ARE, Edgar Casey Group, as well as the Earth Keeper, where there are, yearly meetings and so on. So this is about it, and my interest in prepare for change is tremendous. I want to share that with other people in my vicinity. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Anybody else?
Mary, would you like to present? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Mary.
Hello. Yes, so hi. My name is Gloriana. I'm in New York City, and I've been following. Hi. I've been following Cobra for a while now, a couple of years, and I'm most of an internet in virtual worker. I work with the healing modalities. I do Reiki, work with crystals, and plant essence as well. So I participate in the meditations mostly. I have not engaged with groups in a local area, but I'm always on online, and every time they call in for meditations, I'm there, and that's how my contribution has been.
Very good.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you introducing yourself, and welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yep.
I'm Sarah. Can you hear me?
Mary? Yes. You're coming in very high.
Yeah, your voice is very high pitched. If that's your intention, it's okay. You can go ahead and speak. No, not really. It's okay.
Yeah.
Your microphone sounds like a mouse. Is it okay if we go to another member who has better audio quality? Sorry about that, and we apologize.
Is that the only microphone you have, Mary? Okay. Well, we can't understand what you're saying, so.
Apologize.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'll go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Alan Horn. I live in Sebastopol, California. I'm a member of several different organizations. One called EMF Safety Network. That stands for the Electromagnetic Frequency Safety Network. And we're all about reducing our exposure to non-ionizing radiation. And I've been working with this group for a number of years to stop smart meters, among other things, and higher forms of new forms of death machines that can kill us all because they can easily be weaponized. I'm also a member of Vietnam Veterans Against the War. I'm a member of Veterans for Peace. I am a member of let's see here, just a member of Veterans for Radiation Safety. Anyhow, so I am an insurance broker. I am 69 years old. I still work full time, and I enjoy selling insurance, property and casualty insurance. And so my interests in PFC are for the truth and for ascension and for human evolution, which needs to happen as quickly as we possibly can, so that we get out of this this 300,000 year slavery that we've been in, and get out of this prison planet that we are now occupying. people don't understand that we are being held hostage by evil extraterrestrials like Arcos and Archons and Anunnaki and so forth. And these people need to be banished from the universe, taken to the galactic central sun and killed both in body and in soul, so that they cannot come back and hurt and kill and eat and fuck other human beings. Thank you very much.
Very passionately put. Thank you so much, Alan. I remember just on a quick note that you were working with your local disaster and emergency planning council with the mayor and the city over there out in Sebastopol. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, great.
That is correct. I have arranged to set up meetings shortly after the event takes place with both the chief of police and the mayor of the city, and I don't think I can reasonably give them the 5-page document I downloaded from PFC until the event happens, because they really have a hard time with this. They're open-minded, but they have a hard time understanding and integrating the knowledge that comes with that's going to come. And so
we have another document called Context of the Event on Community Brief, and if take a look at that one. The 5-pager you get off of our website in the leadership section is a little intense and kind of overwhelming to people.
I agree.
And I think we have the one on the other one called better for people. I mean, it does some explanation, but it doesn't dwell on stuff that people, really need to dwell on. They need to deal with the fact that things are changing for good reasons, not try to give them a history lesson going back into how negative, these people have been. Most of these people have been here the whole time. So they've had a lot of experiences. They just have never thought that we could do anything about it. And I think this is the main thing. So take a look at that context of the event and see if that'll work for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alan. So
This
time for one more. If anybody else would like to introduce themselves.
Hello. Yeah, this is Buck from, I'm in Arizona now. I came from Indiana. I'm affiliated with the National Liberty Alliance, and our goal is to get common law back into this legal system. It's not as maybe glorious a goal as getting people back, stepping into a higher vibration, but it's, I think, an essential goal.
It's part of it, absolutely.
And
Part of it.
my interest in PFC, I've been with you for quite some time, and I feel like this group has a possibility of being valuable to humanity.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody, for your introductions today. To keep this meeting as brief as possible and to move on, we'll go to the next slide. Just if all of you can see my, no, it's unstable again. If all of you can see my slides here, we just want to state that, again, our mission is, the primary goal is for the people to be calm, to maintain the status quo of the societal infrastructure during the event. And how we're doing that today in this call, one of our tactical goals is, as Dave mentioned earlier as the primer of this call, that we're forming leadership regions. So in our last call, we highlighted this and we raised this to the PFC worldwide leadership community in the forum, and that these were the identified regions. Interestingly to note, China already has kind of this on their own, and they've already advanced quite a bit. As I believe that's because they have their own thing going. They have their own PFC. website. It's localized in their format, and they're already directly communicating with Cobra and getting updates with him. Ideally, that's the vision and the plan from a overall strategic roadmap standpoint. Would you agree with that statement, Dane? Is that okay to say?
Oh yeah, yeah. Our friends in China, they Anthem came to the meeting. We formed PFC, and we were quite active together. And then we had a little interruption as there was some controversy within our group about what the purpose of it was. In fact, we had people in the group who didn't even think that we should have an organization, that we should just be a website. And, so, you know, that wasn't what Cobra said when we started it, but we weren't really, you know, it just became a controversy. And so I left for the rest of 2013, didn't come back until 2015, which is when we actually started building the global network again. Yeah, so I think we've got ourselves a real potential to have a positive effect. And I think that the most important thing about what we're doing is just basically connecting and giving people the courage to talk, because they see that other people are on the same page. One of the things we found right away, 2013, is that people were isolated because they were one among many people, and those people didn't get it. And so it's been so important for us and share. And I think it gives us all that extra confidence we need to talk to those people who don't know anything about it. So.
Great. Yep, and I think the people who need to know are in these regions from a standpoint from how I've assessed Dane in the last several years as PFC has been evolving. We want to move away from a specific region and make sure that everybody in the world has a chance to participate in preparing for change. And part of that is awareness, and the next part of that, the biggest part of that, is action. So we want to share in these leadership regional calls, on how these actions are appropriated specific in those nations within the regions. So we've divided it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different regions for that specific sake. Now, this is just the format that we're going to keep things organized in, so that people can meet within their own specific time zones, update each other in their own languages, and then roll back that information to the worldwide calls. And begin to organize in that fashion. So we want to be able to, have structure. So what we've determined, Dane and I, are just some requirements if you want to volunteer. So the call out really for this is that you're enabled to do this. Now, we wish that we had the funds right now to enable everybody who wants to be a volunteer. We're not yet at that point. So if you're volunteering, we hope that you can kind of use these requirements from a high level to kind of understand what's necessary in order to lead these calls and to accomplish them. So these are the requirements high level that we've kind of gathered. Obviously, you'll need a computer with stable internet connection so that you can deliver audio as well as video quality to your regional calls. Okay, so whether there are 3 different roles that would happen in a regional call, we'll get to that next. But we suggest that each regional call meets at least bi-monthly for about, usually they will take about 2 hours each call. So if you're planning to volunteer to do this, this will be a regular thing. And we hope they understand that you have the resources and the time that you can commit to do this. And another must is that you should be able to prepare some slides in advance for the call. We would like you to gather approval from the council. Just run them by us. We're not going to criticize what you want to, present, how you want to discuss, but we want to make sure the content is relevant to PFC. That's pretty much all we're doing, and that should be emailed out. We'll back up to Dane in the PFC emails. So that should be done at least 2 days in advance, as well as to help Dane prepare out the newsletter as well. One thing that Dane also asked was that you have your own list. Sorry, if everyone can keep their microphone on mute if you're not speaking, that would be very helpful. If you have your own list attendees who can attend your regional call. So if you're willing to do this, and this is something that you feel guided to doing, please submit a short paragraph or two to the PFC Worldwide Council on your intention of why you feel you should do this. We put an email there to get a feeler from the people, and we're seeing a lot, but what I'm hearing more of is what I think I might be able to do. I hope this call clarifies it in the organizational call out, what you should and must be able to do in order to volunteer for these roles. And please do submit a picture and biography, because in the next meeting we will announce, based on the completeness of these requirements, who these people are going to be. So let me just kind of put it out there, what the roles are going to do. Any questions so far on these high-level requirements and guidelines? Are there any comments? Does everyone feel that they're fair? And let's check the group chat. Dane, anything that you want to add?
I think we're covering it. We just need to find people who will volunteer for these to host regional meetings. The regional meetings at first are these the 5 that we've discussed, and we really need to focus on those because time zone issues are really important to us. Jed is attending this, and it's, what time is it where you're at, Jed?
It's 1:30 in the morning, but it's okay.
There you go. And so this is an issue for our global meetings, is that somebody is in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
And,
someone's sleeping right now. Yeah, so
yeah,
half the
and,
world.
Shweta is in India, and it's it's probably later than that for her. Or maybe it's earlier.
A little earlier, yeah.
But it's not that much earlier. It's still late. And so, yeah, the regional meetings give us a chance to localize that time frame, and everybody can participate in that region. And so we're going to get a much bigger response regionally than we would if we just had one national meeting or even 2 national meetings, because it's always late someplace. And
right.
Yeah, and then after those are the global regional meetings are English, not because we are all English speakers, but because at this level, the people who are paying attention are probably able to speak English, and from them, then we go into localized languages, national languages, and stuff. So. The first two levels are English speaking. After that, localization is required, and I think we've got a reasonable formula here, and we'll just have to see. I mean, for a lot of us, the only concern is the event, and when the event happens, we will have such a great sense of achievement and accomplishment that we may want to party for a while. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to do that at PFC. We have made a commitment to humanitarian projects, and as soon as the money comes in, which will be after the event, we're going to be wanting to launch as much assistance to people who need it. And that's, there's a limited amount of infrastructure you can create with no money.
Right.
So,
and everyone's needs are going to be different all around the world. They're going to be different from, say, India to Russia, to China, to the United States, Dane. And you make a good point that coordination in between these regions are going to be helpful. I had a question from one of the members in the chat group, and she actually had a very good question. Can the U.S. Can we keep U.S. in one single region for the meantime, but can be taken upon she was basically asking if the U.S. could be divided up into West, East, and Pacific. And my take on that, for now, we want to keep a regional leaders call. There could be sub-regional leaders. There could be country leaders meetings. Those need to happen if they want to happen. We're here to guide the regional calls because we want to gather information that's relevant from the perspective that makes sense, that rolls back up to worldwide PFC. The sub-regional calls are going to be helpful to do more tactical coordination. So PFC right now, the overarching principle of why we're having these meetings and calls is so that we can engage strategically. So that's the main key point that needs to be highlighted from the why this is happening in that aspect. And back to Dane's point is that after the event happens, how are we going to enact and enable and empower ourselves with the funds that come in, and who do we reach out to? Who do we call to? So we expect the regional leaders to have a pulse on the sub-regions of what's going on, who's who and who's doing what for that primary purpose.
Okay. Let me add a little point on that. PFC has some forms on the programs tab on the top menu for humanitarian projects. And that has been, the format. This gives us a way to start a process to fund things. And so that would be the main thing from our perspective, is to get those forms in there, and that would allow us to identify who wants to take responsibility for making a difference, and to create basically a pathway to get them that money and to get things to happen. Rebecca is here, and she can talk to them. She's one of the people who processes those forms as they come in, and yeah, so we've got the process in place, and there are many things that there's some initiatives that we've started which are designed to draw funding applications instead of just because if we're going to get money out quick and address certain problems, it's important for people to find a channel where where they can apply in a way that many people are trying to do the same thing, and we can focus ourselves in a way where we form teams. I mean, it's, if you're taking on a project, either forming a community or doing nature restoration, all of these there are many things that are very commonalities to the needs that we have. So, right now, go there, tell us what you want to do, how you want to do it, how you're going to help your communities. And I'm sure Rebecca will be glad to spend all of her time doing this, but
great.
We'll get more volunteers. But yeah. Anyway, it's a process that we have in place, and please do it. We've got, if you've heard any of the calls and stuff of people talking about the money that's going to come out, the real issue for us is going to be to get it out in a way that's functional. There's really a kind of no limit, apparently, on what can be funded, but it's important for people to have integrity to do this. And
and exactly why we have these calls, Dane, to structure the gathering of our framework on how we communicate and have dialogue is very important. And having a platform like PFC is going to be quintessential to doing that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. So a lot of questions came in, Dane, on the emails. How do we go about doing this? Right?
Yeah, well, it's a natural concern. It's our concern.
Yeah, so I put a slide together, a couple slides. I'm just going to go through these as fast as I can. And please bear with me, everybody. But the regional calls are not designed to be a debate platform on what Cobra said or who said what. David Icke versus so on and so forth. We don't want to make this about that. You can have open discussions, but please be loving and guiding as host and co-host. And that's very, very, very important. I think, if we're representing etheric light work, we should outwardly talk the talk and walk the walk, right? And the way to structure these calls that seems very helpful in the last couple of meetings we've had is set up an introduction, make it about 5 to 10 minutes, welcome your new members, introduce yourselves, and then maybe give a leadership update, what's going on in your region, and then have an open discussion, gather some feedback, gather what's important, what's top of mind, and maybe have a guest speaker or resource speaker in your regional call to help drive some of the tactical or strategic objectives for your region. So there might be specific challenges, say, that are very North American. These would be the perfect time in your regional calls to say, how do we address this for, say, the United States and Canada, Mexico? How do we make sure that we're prepared for the event and post-event? And those things like gathering your resource speakers, having your network, are going to be important for co-hosts and hosts, so that they can help facilitate and guide the audience members from those PFC groups into understanding, whether it's through awareness or through preparedness or through utilizing, say, these processes that are out there for our resources that are going to be coming to us. Okay, so keep those structures in mind when you have your calls. So apart from structures in these calls, let me go to the next slide. There's obviously going to be a host and a co-host, and ideally, maybe you'd like to have a third person to help in your regional calls, but we're going to nominate 3 per region. We can say a host and 2 co-hosts, and we're probably going to change them every year or so, Dane. Maybe I'm not going to be the next guy in the next year, but we'll figure that out, and now that gets all sorted out.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. What are your
Well, what's happening is that we're going to be funded after the event, and if anybody's been watching, there's a lot of effort to make the event happen before Christmas, and at least the reset part of the event.
Right.
The expectation is that when that happens, we'll be able to sort of staff up. People will not be required to go to focus on making a living. They're helping. If they want to help us full time, we'll be able to do that. And so, these roles will have a different flavor after things start up, and we'll become more focused on actually delivering funds and organizing to have people make a difference in our communities, not just to alert them. A lot of people are still going to be confused, and regardless of how much information is put out on the media, they're going to want to talk to somebody and say, what's this really about? Because that's the way people actually communicate. They don't, a lot of us are the type of people who sit down with a computer, and every time we read something, we have a question, we go and we search on that, and eventually we become well informed about it, and we've done it on our own without asking anybody. But we've actually asked pretty much everybody in the world who's got anything to say by searching on the internet. And but we're not the average person, and so because of that, after the event and when things are happening and face, they're still going to have questions. They're still going to want to talk to somebody and get straight answers. So that's kind of where we're going to be, and that's going to go on for months. And so we need to be prepared to, helping people through the change for months after the event actually happens. And but the good thing about it is that we will have money to make a difference with people. And so
it's funny you say this. To summarize, it's like being a light worker. It's like that catchphrase from the movie Spider-Man: "With great power comes great responsibility." Right? And we're called to work in the mission of light for a specific reason, whether we're star seeds or reincarnated. We came here with a purpose to uplift humanity, and that's a lot on our shoulders, so to speak. So gathering and like you said, Dane, knowing what to talk about. One of the questions Mary had was, how do we go about talking to other people? So in these calls, we want to provide, again, the resources and those talking points, and then give the feedback from the worldwide perspective down to the regional levels, the talking points that make sense to those areas. Some might work, some might not work, but overall, a general framework and a platform will be very helpful to keep it dynamic, so that the content on how to is refreshed, and what to do is also kept actively updated as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of information on the internet, and it would be wise to start bookmarking the stuff that actually impresses you, because as you probably discovered, you can click on 50 YouTube videos, and 49 of them are sort of a waste of time. And so finding the ones that really contribute to the discussion is something you need to do for yourself, because everybody has a different way of talking about things, a way of thinking about things, and the people that are attracted to you, that you're connected with, they'll want to hear it from your perspective and what the ways that you want to present it. So yeah, gather those resources that connect with you. Don't depend on what's on PFC or a community leaders brief, because this has to come from, you have to explain it in a way that is the way you would explain it. And so yeah, gather resources that actually speak for you, and will connect with the people who are connected to you. Back to you, Jed.
Thanks. Exactly. That's the exact point. We're PFC leaders we're hoping that the volunteers will step up to make. So questions coming in, are we going to get some of these instructions in emails? Yes, we'll send the slides, and preparing these materials in advance and making sure they come to you are our top priority. So please, if you haven't already, please put your name, your email address, and where you're from in the chat group to mark your attendance. So we see we're at 53 participants. When we started the call, we were about 20. So just a general housekeeping reminder there.
Yeah.
Great. So going on and moving forward, other than the framework for the meeting that we for the regional call meetings and how to facilitate, some of the questions are, what do the hosts do and what the co-hosts will do. So a host role, if you're going to volunteer for this, we have some 3 key simple guidelines that we would like you to follow. And they are focused around being prepared, being guided, and being helpful. So when we say be prepared, we want you to understand before you go into a regional call, and hopefully you understand what your meeting topics are going to be and what the agenda is going to be for that call. And understand that when you're prepared, that you're going to be the driver for this call, you're going to set the schedule, and you're also going to lead this presentation that you're going to give. So those are the responsibilities that will fall under a host role. And in terms of being guided, we want you to give guidance to yourself, to give as many as you can a chance to speak, but also keep in mind of what topic you need to move for next, because time is also limited. So keep on track for time. When you're speaking with others and it's getting into one of those deep discussions, try to use contract phrases like, that sounds like a great topic I'd like to discuss. Let's park that for now. Is that okay with you? And maybe we can, take this offline. That's going to help you identify what feedback is generally coming from the audience members that is important or top of mind to them, so that when you have your next regional call, you may have a resource speaker to address that, or you might find a resource yourself to address that, be it your own YouTube video, be it slides like that I've prepared and showing here, or whatever. Okay. Another being guideline would be acknowledge others as an active listener. This is going to be helpful to allow the flow of your regional call to a very fruitful discussion, and that will allow you to be helpful. So we want you to be helpful in a way that your regional leaders, your co-regional leaders, are at least coordinated with prior and post-call. I always call Dane at least a day before, and we email each other back and forth before a call like this happens. And I call him and I say, what's the feedback? What are you hearing? You can approach any one of us and tell us, hey, you suck, please do it better this way. Send us an email of what you think we should be doing differently. We're not here to rule this like the keys to the kingdom, right, Dane? So And then, you know, your efforts in hosting, ask yourself, how does what you're preparing and how these regional calls that you're having, the agenda, the topic, how does it holistically serve the greater good? And the only way you'll actually get to know that is if you're actually getting feedback. Right, Dane? So if anyone has a complaint about what I'm doing, how I'm presenting, bring it to Dane. If anyone has anything, we want to hear these things so that we can tweak it and make it better. And we hope that if you're going to volunteer, that you'll have the same spirit of taking track of being dynamic to your audience members. Okay? Anything you want to add to that for the host role, Dane?
I think that you know, we need feedback, and that's the key ingredient. And even things that you don't think are comment worthy probably are, you know. And please feel free to send us your observations, and all of it will help, because you know, if you have a minor observation and 20 people have that same minor observation, it escalates its value, you know. And so these are. This is our real purpose here. The organizational meeting is to share ideas about how to do it, but the biggest thing is to engage people in considering to do this. And there's a lot of this has to do with emotional preparation. You have to be ready to deal with the responsibilities and to carve out the time from your life to do it. That's a big thing for a lot of people who have a lot of demands. So yeah, we want to involve people. We want everybody to feel engaged. And right now, this meeting is going to give you an overview of what being a host should do. It'll give you a sense of concern about being prepared and what you are going to need to be prepared. And we want to hear about that, because as a group, we are creating materials, and we want, because downloadable materials, like right now, I did not include in our last newsletter a link to the PDF files. Well, it's a little premature right now because we hadn't actually talked about having meetings beyond this one. But in the next one, we will start with a download of the PowerPoint slides. It'll be in the newsletter, and there'll be links to other materials that are important to use, and links to the videos, of course. The videos, where you link to those, is you bring them up and then copy the URL from YouTube is the easy way, although, you know, it's embedded in ours. So yeah, I think
we're also recording these meetings too, right, Dane? So
yeah.
For those of you who may have missed it, and you want to go backtrack, last meeting was sent out. The whole entire meeting agenda was recorded. You can also get the chat. So we try to, you know, keep a good record of these calls so that the information can disseminate as well, and it shows that we're keeping organized. You know,
as well as we can. I never quite feel that organized, but yeah.
As well as volunteers can come through, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Next topic on that, the co-host role. So we're thinking, you know, there'll be a host and a co-host, and maybe you guys can switch the roles on occasion in your region. It's the same 3 key guidelines: be prepared, be guided, and be helpful. But for a co-host, it's a little bit different, because yes, you'll need to know the meeting topics and the agenda like the host would, but your job is to also help remind the host and keep others on track as well. So if things get kind of awry, you know, you're there to help drive it back into the center of where the meeting's supposed to be, and also give the host feedback in and before and after the call to shape things up. Okay, so that's the co-host. It's a check and balance. We want to make sure that, you know, this doesn't drive into an egomaniacal, it's all about me kind of thing. And My internet's getting unstable again. I hope I'm not coming out to you all choppy. But yes, so that's the basic gist of it. We want you to also help keep an eye on the chat room in Zoom. I kind of constantly do this, and I take a look to see what the feedback's going on in there, and to summarize and help acknowledge the host and keep the dialogue fresh. One thing that the co-host should be helping with is taking good notes. That the next regional leadership call will be very helpful. Okay. I'm going to move to the next slide here, and this is the North America regional leaders. We don't know who they are yet. So I'm going to look at the chat room. Oh, thank you, Alan. No choppiness for me. Okay, so if you would like to nominate yourself based on what we've presented on the roles and responsibilities, the framework, and the reason why we need to have these calls, we are asking you now to please put your name in the chat that I would like to be a regional leader. So the reminders, again, I'm going to go back a few slides. What are the requirements? From a high level, you need a computer with stable connection. You're going to meet bi-monthly at least, preferably about 2 hours a call. You'll need to prepare at least some content and run it by the PFC Council, and so that you can also send out, we can help you by supporting you to send out a PFC regional call newsletter. Call them to click on the Zoom link that hopefully you'll set up. But after this call, and by nominating yourself, you'll submit to us an intention statement of why you feel guided to do this and why you think you can do this, and a picture and a biography, just so that we can keep track of everybody. Because the emails are very, the ones that we're getting now, they're very brief. They're not very, it doesn't sound like they're solid. So for North America, if you can, in the chat room, please give us your name and I'm going to edit it here. So leadership is eventual. Is there anybody who would like to lead the North American region from this chat group today?
Chad, I have a question.
Sure, Angelo, how are you? Good to hear from you.
Doing good, and you're doing very good too. My question is, I am in the Caribbean. I have the ability to speak Spanish and, of course, English, and some Dutch as well. And I have also a lot of experience with facilitating. My question is, I would like to be part of the North American region, but if there is a need for the South American region, I would put myself up for that too.
Okay, so you're volunteering for the South American region, Angela, is that correct?
Yes.
I'm gonna mix up my slides here. Okay, let me just do this here. This is North American volunteers. Okay, so this is North. And then should be South. Okay, so Angelo's nominated himself. And the preferred language that you'd like to host it in, Angelo?
For South America, it's going to be Spanish.
Espanol. Okay. And do you have a preferred time to meet?
Not yet. I have to determine that.
Okay, so you'll need to give us the date and time that you'll meet Angelo.
I'll specify in the intention statement.
Yes, and send us that as well in the email of the times that you'd like to have the call in your region.
Okay.
So host Angelo, co-host TBD, and so okay. So thank you, Angelo, for that. So is there anybody for North America that would like to volunteer? That's odd.
Well, you'd think, but I think there are a lot of people who just don't feel prepared to, with are not familiar with the tools, and
Okay.
I think that's right now they are going to have to be get more grounded in them.
Should we have a tool training? Is that do
I have
people
some
want me to? I'm an IT guy. I can give tools training on how to
I
use
can,
Zoom.
I can support in that too.
Okay.
I can assist you in that too.
Okay. So we can have a separate call apart from this on Zoom. We can send out a time together. Angela, thank you for stepping up to do a how to create and lead a Zoom meeting. But other than that, I mean, creating PowerPoint. Okay, so Joy would like to volunteer. Joy, are you volunteering for a host position?
Oh, shit. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Joy. How are you?
Oh, hi. Hi, everybody. Yes, I would love to be a North American leader and host position. I feel I was called to purpose for this. And I have experience in hosting via radio. And I was directed toward you guys via the universe. I've been trying to share information with people that I know that I'm connected with via social media in some way, but I can't do this alone. And so, yeah, and then more concentrated, reliable information would be very, very helpful to others. And so I would like to volunteer to be a North American leader.
Great. So, Joy, thank you for stepping up for this, and I'll put your name down here in English.
Yes,
It
please.
sounds like you're speaking with. Okay. And the time preferred and the date preferred, like say Sunday or Saturday.
Can you give me a day or so to figure that out exactly what day would work best?
Okay.
Yeah.
You have actually somebody who joined you on the volunteer part, and we still have one more slot. But Danielle, could you speak up? Are you there, Danielle? Can you hear us? Danielle, am I saying it right? You'd like to assist? You're from Canada. You can hear me?
Yes,
No,
yes, sorry about that. Yes,
No worries.
I can assist.
So you enjoy or are willing to do the North American calls?
What does that mean, do the American calls?
North American regional calls. Okay, so let me go back just in case I missed out. So in case you came in late, we're calling out for volunteers for PFC leaders to host and co-host regional calls. And we identified, if you can see my slides there, Danielle, these are the 5 regions in the world that we've identified. These are the requirements. We'll send this out. But basically, you have to have a stable internet connection, meet by monthly, so on and so forth. After this, we'll need these requirements. And then there's a way to facilitate, and there are rules. So I just marked Joy as the host because she stepped up first, but would you be willing to support her by being her co-host in a regional call?
Absolutely. I've never co-hosted anything, but I'll try. I'm available to assist.
That's beautiful.
So Joy and Danielle meet each other, share each other's contact information. If you can also email back Dane and I your biographies and the other requirements that we submitted
Sure.
in the earlier slides.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. I will.
Hi, Danielle.
Hi.
Great. I like this. It's all coming together. Okay, so I have a message here from Victorious Valeria. he would like to volunteer in North America, but in Spanish. How about would Victorious? Are you there? Can you hear me? Oh, this is Christina. So Christina.
Yes, Jet. How are
Hola,
you?
Christina. Hola. Good morning.
Good morning. Hola.
I'm good. I'm good. Hola. Guess what? If you'd like to do it in Espanol, no problemo. I think better if you joined with Angelo from South America, because you guys are all probably. Are you okay with that? Because you're in Mexico, I believe he's in South America as well.
No, it's in North America. Mexico is in North America. United States, Canada, Mexico. North America. I know geography.
But if you'd like to join the Spanish call in South America.
In Spanish,
okay?
we have Mexico. Of course, we speak Spanish in Mexico, and it's in North America. But I can be volunteer in South America too. Yes.
Okay, so you'd be willing to be a co-host with Angelo. Is that okay with you?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah. I was just going to comment. Angelo is from, I don't know how that's pronounced.
Curacao.
Okay.
It's a
It's an
Brazilian
island off of Venezuela, isn't that right?
Yes, Dutch Caribbean island.
Yeah, and it is actually a part of the Netherlands colonies.
It's a Dutch kingdom state, autonomous states, since 2010.
Yeah, so he's multilingual in many ways, and quite well educated. He's a tech guy, and we're really fortunate to have him. And I think that